Nikki Bella is coming from, because it's very difficult to walk away from having done something for, say, 15 years in the way of a Daniel Bryan and wake up the next morning and realize that you're not a professional wrestler or athlete, having not being able to do what you love to do for years. So I can only imagine what Nikki Bella is going through. I've never been put in a position where I've had to contemplate not being able to do what I've loved to do for years. But if ever that point came to me in my life, if I ever got to that point in the road, I probably would be feeling the same way Nikki Bella is, because I can only imagine not being able to do something that you've been able to do for your entire life, and then waking up one day and realizing this is all over for you, and you have to find something else that you're capable of having done, which is very difficult for a lot of people to do. It's very difficult to make the transition from, say, being an in-ring performer out of someone who just looks at it from the outside. And I think that, after having seen the Bella Twins do what they've done for a number of years, it's going to be very difficult not only for the Bella Twins, but it's going to be very difficult for us as fans to realize that we're not going to be seeing the Bella Twins teaming up anymore if this is what we're faced with. It's just one of those unfortunate things about life. And again, one of those very unpredictable things about life, because you don't know what's going to happen from one minute to the next, day in and day out. And obviously the Bella Twins are the perfect example of how you don't know what's going to happen from day in and day out. And you have to take every day for what it's worth. That's one of the things that Total Divas looked at in the latest few seasons of Total Divas, which you can catch up on demand with through the app. Of course, the e-app on the App Store, you can download it now. It's pretty intense. We've heard about a lot of retirements. We've heard about a lot of career-threatening injuries over these last 6 months, and I don't think we've ever heard about more career-threatening injuries or retirements as much as what we have within these last 6 months, and I think that has everything to do with why we are feeling the way we are about Nikki Bella these days, because it's very rarely, a couple of years ago, it was very rare if you heard about a career-threatening injury, and now it seems to be more common. It seems to be a thing of commonality now, hearing about all these injuries, most recently with Daniel Bryan, and now we're going from Daniel Bryan to Nikki Bella. So it seems like the two people that we've kind of known and fell in love with over these last few years are faced with injuries from being overworked, being put out there in ways that people had never been put out before them, or even after they will be gone and remembered in professional wrestling. I don't think anyone will ever be put out there in the way of Daniel Bryan or Nikki Bella ever were. And I think that, after becoming used out of these wrestlers, the new talent initiative, it's very difficult now realizing that new stars had to be created in their place. Now, obviously, people like Charlotte and Paige and Becky Lynch are people who obviously are candidates to take the place of someone like Nikki Bella. But let me say this. I really think, even though I wasn't the biggest Nikki Bella fan early on in her career, I always was a fan of Nikki Bella, but I wasn't the biggest fans of the Bella Twins. But the thing is, I think that Nikki Bella is someone who is really irreplaceable. You just can't replace a Nikki Bella with a Charlotte or a Paige or a Becky Lynch. It's going to take a lot of time before you create that Trish Stratus kind of figure to resemble what the Divas division, or the women's division as they're calling it now, is supposed to be all about. It's going to take years to have to do that. And I just think that Nikki Bella is someone who is very irreplaceable and someone who is not going to be forgotten anytime soon. I mean, she had many 5-star matches. It'll be debated whether or not Brie Bella was the better wrestler out of the Bella Twins for a number of years. But I think that both Bella Twins were equally distributed, and I think both Bella Twins had an equal opportunity to show us what they were capable of doing as both a tag team and as singles wrestlers. Now, they both had a great deal of success as both singles and tag team competitors, but I think the majority of their success, without a doubt, came as singles competitors, because that was when we saw the Bella Twins used in far more creative storylines, and we saw the Bella Twins get an opportunity to hold the Divas Championship for a number of times. And let me just say this, we have not seen the last of Brie Bella competing, even though her sister is contemplating retirement, and we could see the day when Brie Bella holds that women's championship. And let me also say this, if Nikki Bella were still able to compete and does make a return, we're going to be seeing her as the women's world heavyweight champion eventually down the road. It may not happen today or tomorrow, within the next few weeks or the next few months, but we will see it because of the inspiration that Nikki Bella was to many of the upcoming divas from both NXT and the WWE who recently made their debuts. NXT, too, by the way, guys, is a great way of looking at the future stars of tomorrow. I mean, there are a lot of great international divas, also American and Canadian divas being looked at on that series, and you have to check that out to see what the women's division is really evolving into, and it has everything to do, obviously, with what Nikki Bella has done for the division. Yeah, I think that if she ever had the chance to be women's champion, we would see Nikki Bella be the women's champion if she was still able to compete. I can only imagine how difficult of a time this is for Nikki Bella, having to go through all of this Just imagine waking up one day and realizing, for instance, that you could not do the one thing that you had done your entire life. And this is really what Nikki Bella is faced with. Again, I've spoken to many people who have had to go through the same kind of thing that Nikki Bella is having to go through with right now. Again, I can only imagine what she's going through, and that's why my heart goes out to every single person who ever said they were a fan of Nikki Bella over these last few years. And I can't blame you if you find yourself becoming both a fan of reality television and professional wrestling, because the Bella Twins were presented with a phenomenal opportunity to be both reality stars and wrestlers, and they took advantage of it off their first firing. And ever since they took advantage off their first firing of being both wrestlers and reality stars, they have really metamorphosized themselves into really the Kardashian sisters of the WWE and the Divas division. And every other diva who was a part of this series was given the same kind of opportunity, like Summer Rae and Paige. Now, Total Bellas will give the Bella Twins a chance to be looked at in a way they've never been looked at before. The series will focus on primarily the personal lives of the Bella Twins, and even though they've made that metamorphosis and transition very successfully from being wrestlers into reality stars, and both of it at the same time on times, I don't think we've seen the last of divas like Brie Bella, because I think Brie Bella will continue wrestling as both a tribute to her husband Daniel Bryan and her sister now, because of this career and life-threatening injury she's had to go through, even if it is the last. We've seen Nikki Bella. We'll see more of an opportunity for her to be women's champion, competing against the likes of Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Paige and Sasha Banks, who's really an upcoming diva, who's really the replacement, I think, for divas like Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella because of her retirement. And now more of an opportunity, the good thing about all this to come from all of this, more of an opportunity now can be presented to someone like a Sasha Banks to really take over and leave her impression, an everlasting impression, I will say that, on the Divas division. So that's something I'm hoping they take advantage of. And I just really believe that we haven't seen the last of Nikki Bella, just as I believe we hadn't seen the last of Sting in the WWE ring, and we would see him in the WWE ring at some point or another in his legendary career. I still hold that same kind of belief and a different way of looking at it for Nikki Bella, because I don't think we've seen the last of her, even though many people believe this is the end of the road, the end of the line, the truck stops here for Nikki Bella. I think it's just drawing a conclusion that we don't necessarily need to draw for Nikki Bella, and I think that we just haven't seen the last of her, because promising things and times are ahead for her because of the support she has from all of her fans, which again I can't thank you guys enough for. After hearing so many stories through profiling it, through interviews and shows on YouTube of people having to deal with the same kind of injury, I know how difficult it may be on times. But even though I know how difficult it may be on times, I can only imagine what Nikki Bella is having to go through, because it must be the most challenging thing she's ever had to endure. But at least she has the support of people like John Cena and Daniel Bryan and all of her fans. And that's why I can't thank you guys enough. So what I'll do is I'll feature this video for you on my YouTube channel. It's somewhat of a commemorative way of looking at the injury of Nikki Bella and everything she's had to go through, as I have several other video blogs on Nikki Bella and her status in WWE and this injury, which took me completely off guard when I first heard about it. I will archive this video for you on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe at Jonathan Clarke 22. Hit subscribe at the top of my channel. Leave it for me in the comments if you have a thought. You can tweet me on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke 1, and you can get in touch with me on both Facebook and Google+. At the same for both accounts. HEW Entertainment is how you get in touch with me on Facebook and Google+. And I look forward to your opinion on this issue. Do you believe at the end of the day we have seen the last of Nikki Bella? I don't think we have, and I'm going to go on record for having said that, because if there is a way, some way or somehow, Nikki Bella will be back. And I don't think we've seen the last or heard the last of her being WWE Women's Champion, because in my opinion, she would make a great and probably the greatest Women's Champion of this new era we've kind of come into, which Nikki Bella and her sister Brie, the Bella Twins, made possible, and that's something you had better not forget. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, and I will talk to you again next week. Like what you hear? Tell us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Let's light it up.
Don't go anywhere. HEW Entertainment Radio will return with the latest news, music, interviews, discussion, and Jonathan Clarke next.
When something takes place in the world of professional wrestling, you know where to go. WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone.com. Covering all the latest breaking news daily. Interactive forums where you can chat with thousands of other wrestling fans. Exclusive editorials and audio features by some of today's top wrestling superstars. Exclusive video content, weekly polls, live play-by-play coverage of every WWE and TNA pay-per-view. And now, featuring WrestleZone Radio, live with news, in-depth discussions, debates, and interviews with wrestling's top stars, past and present. When you think wrestling, think WrestleZone. WrestleZone.com.